The discussion with national political reporter for The Hill, Julia Manchester. Julia, good morning. Thanks for joining us from Tuscaloosa. Many believe Ramaswamy, we're going to get back to him because we talked about it a couple of minutes ago, has lost momentum, especially in the last couple of debates. Can he regain his mojo tonight?
Yeah, good morning, Adrienne. That's a good question because I remember going into the first Republican debate from Milwaukee in August, and we saw that Ramaswamy came out of there with quite a bit of momentum. The issue is, though, we've seen Nikki Haley has been able to gain that momentum and use these debates to propel herself up in the polls. Look, Ramaswamy is really going to have to get in the middle of the dynamic between Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. I think we're going to expect those two to go head to head, but I think Ramaswamy is someone who's obviously very bombastic. He's, very, very loud on those stages, creates a lot of controversy. So I think he could definitely try to get in the middle. However, a lot of that's going to depend on how Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and even Chris Christie react to him there.
In terms of the Iowa Republican caucuses, they happen in January. This is the final debate ahead of that crucial moment. Can either DeSantis or Haley make a breakthrough tonight in a way that voters from the Hawkeye state will pay attention to?
Well, I'll tell you that DeSantis certainly needs to make a breakthrough tonight. It's funny. I feel like with every story I've written leading up to these four debates, I've said tonight is a make or break moment. Well, this time I really mean it because this is the last time we'll see him be up in front of a national audience. Now, I say national audience, but we're talking about Iowa. Why that's important is that we have a lot of Republican donors that will be watching. And we know that a lot of the donors obviously have the resources. So if Ron DeSantis could potentially up his ground game in a state like Iowa, maybe that could eventually pay dividends. However, we have seen that the majority of the donors have very much aligned behind Nikki Haley. She's gotten the endorsement of the very influential conservative Koch-backed network. But at the same time, though, we don't know how that's much the donors are ultimately going to matter because there seems to be this disconnect between the grassroots, meaning the Republican primary voters, and the donors themselves. And those primary voters, according to the polls, state and national level, are going to Trump.
Low numbers for Chris Christie, but he still made it to the debate stage tonight. As The Hill has been reporting, Republicans are now pressuring the former governor of New Jersey to drop out, to kind of pave that way for somebody to be the clear number two. But recent polling actually shows more Democrats choose Christie than Republicans as their second choice. Does Christie need to explain his own viability in the race tonight?
I think that's a very legitimate question to ask Christie, and it'll be interesting to see what he says. And he's been responding to those calls for him to drop out. Looking at Chris Christie, he has a very different strategy than, say, a Ron DeSantis. We've seen Ron DeSantis put all of his eggs in the Iowa basket, really trying to appeal to those cultural conservatives in Iowa that are so important. However, right after Iowa, we have the New Hampshire primary, and there is certainly a very different brand of Republican voter in New Hampshire. And that's the brand of Republican voter that Chris Christie has been able to appeal to. That Republican voter that might be a bit more socially moderate, but fiscally conservative. That certainly has a very libertarian streak to it. So for Christie, he needs to explain the strategy in terms of the calendar, because we know that Iowa goes first and that whoever comes out of Iowa needs some sort of momentum going into New Hampshire.
All right, Julia Manchester, thank you very much for joining us. I know you're going to be working hard all day today. We are excited to see what you bring us coming up. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.